After his appearance in the dunk competition went viral, Wesley Evett signed a 2-year contract with the Detroit Pistons. Now his contract's up, and he's looking for greater opportunity in the NBA and a place where he feels he can succeed. We'll watch as he meets with the management from the San Antonio Spurs and hopes to find a new team to play for. Word has it they've been using a new technique called spin selling. Let's see how it works.
Hey, my pal.
Oh, Wesley, nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Hey, Gabe the vote, Rock Nation.
Jade.
Rock Nation.
How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
So I'm the senior recruiter here at the San Antonio Spurs. I've been with the organization about 10 years. I'm the junior recruiter here. I've been here for about 5.
You know what? You look a lot like my wife.
Oh, really? I've heard a little bit about your wife. Is it true she actually helped you get your start in basketball?
Yeah, she actually facilitated that dunk competition that kind of gave me my start.
Oh, cool.
Great love story, actually. I happen to be the best man.
Oh, really? So how long have you guys known each other?
Well, right after the dunk competition, it was the first agency to reach out, and we signed them right away. And we've been best friends ever since.
Cool. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey from the dunk competition to where you're at today?
So yeah, so after that video of me dunking kind of blew up, I got a lot of interest from several different teams and ended up signing with the Pistons.
Awesome. And then, what drew you to the team?
Well, actually, after we signed them, a lot of teams were interested, but the Pistons, after talking to the Pistons, they were the first team to actually offer them, and they gave them a 2-year contract for $10 million.
Okay, then where do you live now?
I just have a small apartment outside of
Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit. Thank you. With my wife. It's pretty small though.
Okay, awesome.
SPIN is an acronym used to remember the 4 types of questions you ask in order to sell your customer on something. The first of which is S, which stands for situational questions. Jade and Emily are asking Wesley questions to help uncover the context in which they may eventually be able to solve his problem. They have to first understand the background information to establish ways in which they can provide value to him.
And then how is that apartment? How do you like living in Detroit?
Yeah, so Detroit's pretty interesting. I'm not gonna lie, I don't always feel the safest there. I'm trying to eventually start a family with my wife, and we have a small apartment. Streets don't feel very safe. Sometimes late night practices feel a little dangerous after I get out, so.
So is there any reason why you're contemplating not re-signing with the Pistons?
I'll take this one. Well, actually, I feel like my guy West has a lot of star potential, and Detroit, they're not really a championship contender. So I think we need to get them somewhere where we have a better chance of giving them more exposure, more TV time, and the opportunity to win the championship.
How much playing time are you currently getting?
Not as much as I'd like, I'll say that. I definitely feel like I have potential to become a huge player, which I can get more playing time.
So how much are you looking for when you come here?
Well, we're looking around 35 minutes a game. Like I said, this is a future Hall of Famer, NBA All-Star caliber type player. So, we're looking for 35 a game.
At least.
So does this lack of playing time interfere with your amount of times you can dunk?
Oh, no, well, yeah. It does.
And that's your token, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dunking is fine.
Okay. And then how much are you expecting to get, money-wise?
Well, with this potential, we're looking for a max contract. So, with this new bargaining coming up, anywhere between 5 years, $180 million.
The P in spin selling stands for problem questions. In order for Jade and Emily to bring Wesley to the Spurs, they're going to have to first make him realize his dissatisfaction with the Detroit Pistons. This sets up a means for selling their team's greater value. By clarifying his problems, they can set the stage for satisfying his implied needs.
So if dunking is how you made it to stardom, and that's one of your best qualities, is your lack of playing time kind of inhibiting your ability to show off your greatest skill?
Now that you mentioned that, I hadn't really thought about that before, but yeah, I'd say so.
Leslie, do you think you've reached your full potential as an NBA player?
Not at all. I think Wesley has a lot of potential in him. He's the first NBA type player, and I think he's the next big thing.
Do you think you can reach your full potential while playing for the Pistons?
No.
The I stands for implication questions. This is where Jade and Emily will clarify the effects of Wesley's problems. They will intensify the perceived problems and establish ways that he can change them.
So do you think you can reach your full potential if you play for a team like the Spurs?
Now that I'm thinking about it, I think so, yeah.
Did you know that Tony Parker was thinking about retiring?
I have heard some rumors about that, yes.
So, like, given his position in the history of the Spurs, those are some pretty big shoes to fill. Do you think you would be willing, or you could fill that void?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So you expressed some concern about Detroit, but did you know that how safe San Antonio is, and that it's actually one of the top 10 places to raise a family in the United States?
Oh, really? That's really
Yeah.
attractive.
It's a great city.
Look, Wes, we already know that you're looking for a place to raise your family. You fitting into a team like the Spurs is just natural. We're willing to give you the max contract if you want to sign with the Spurs today.
Deal?
Oh, welcome to the team. Here's the jersey.
Oh, awesome.
Congrats,
Number
Wes.
33. Congrats.
Thank you.
Welcome.
See lots of dunking in your future.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
N stands for needs payoff, which is the final stage of spin selling. Jade and Emily will come full circle as they allow Wesley to conclude that coming to the Spurs is the best solution to his problem. They ask leading questions, allowing him to draw the conclusion that the benefits the Spurs provide are unique and necessary in satisfying his needs.
I got the spur on the fitted anytime you see me out in public. They love it, so they be like, game time, you know we going live.
Coach said to fake right and break left. Watch out for the pick and keep an eye on the fence. Gotta run the give and go, take the ball to the hole. And don't be afraid to shoot the outside, Jay. Just keep your head in the game. Just keep your head in the game. And don't be afraid to shoot the outside, Jay. Just keep your head in the game.
Each investigative call demands a range of skills from the seller, and one of those skills is called opening. Every call begins with certain preliminaries, introductions, an exchange of pleasantries, social discussion, and an opening related to the business at hand. Huthwaite research shows that there is no particular correlation between the way a sales call is opened and the outcome of that call. In other words, there is no single right way to open a sales call. The purpose of your call opening is to make a smooth and effective transition into investigating so that you can uncover explicit needs and address them with the benefits of your product or service. Here are some guidelines to help you open your calls more effectively. Be flexible. You won't open every call the same way. It depends on factors such as who the customer is, how well you know the customer, who arranged the meeting, what the time constraints are, and who else is participating in the call. Establish a customer-centered purpose. Focus on the customer's concerns in order to give that customer a reason to answer your questions. Get down to business quickly. While you have to respect social, business, and cultural norms, you don't want to waste the customer's time. As a general rule, make your opening as brief as possible. An effective way of opening most calls is to first link back to earlier conversations or events that led up to that call. Then state a purpose for your current call and either ask a question or ask for explicit permission to ask questions. Let's watch some examples.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for taking the time to meet with me today.
I'm glad to see you today. Come on in, please, have a seat. I'm anxious to hear about your new products.
When we spoke on the telephone, you mentioned there were some problems with your system. I'd like to explore these with you and see how we might be able to help. May I ask you some questions about your current system?
Now let's watch an example of a telephone call opening.
Hello, Marcia. John Smith mentioned that you were looking for creative solutions. This is Brandon with Network Solutions, and I'd like to help. So could you tell me a little bit more about what you have in mind?
If your openings are flexible, customer-centered, and brief, you should be able to make a smooth and effective transition into the investigating stage of the sales call. The most successful sellers are perceived as consultative resources by their customers, as problem solvers working in the customer's best interests. In order to be seen as an effective problem solver, you must first be able to develop a clear understanding of the customer's problems. You can develop this understanding through the skillful use of problem questions. Problem questions are designed to identify customer problems, difficulties, or dissatisfaction which can be addressed by your product or service. Customer problems, difficulties, or dissatisfaction are the raw material for building explicit needs. They are the reasons why a customer might have the desire for change. Huthwaite research shows that problem questions are much more powerful than situation questions. Customers are invariably more interested in discussing their problems than in educating the seller on the bland basics of their business situation. There are two basic types of problem questions. The first type of problem question helps you uncover customer problems, difficulties, or dissatisfaction. Sometimes customers will freely reveal their problems without any prompting from you. At other times, you will have to ask questions designed to uncover problems and determine whether or not a specific problem might exist. One way to do this is to use a very simple, direct probing question. For example, what problems has that system created for you? Or, have you ever had a problem managing large files? Or, how happy are you with the way that system handles large files? Another way to uncover problems is to soften the questions somewhat by positioning them with information. For example, I've talked with quite a few people who have used that system, and many of them have said that they had difficulties with large files. Has that been a problem for you? Or, from what I've seen, many firms in your industry have had problems with large files. What is your experience in that regard? Or, I've dealt with a number of firms that were in the same situation as yours. Most of them said that processing large files was their biggest problem. Is that the case here? Asking simple, direct questions, or softer, positioned ones, is really a matter of opinion and style. There is no evidence to suggest that either approach yields better results. So use the approach that best suits the individual customer, the particular situation, and your own personal style. The second type of problem questions helps you understand customer problems, difficulties, or dissatisfaction. While it is important to determine whether the customer has a problem, this isn't enough. You must also have a good understanding of the problem. You gain this understanding by asking questions. The questions you ask to understand the problem include who, what, when, where, why, how much, how many, and how often. For example, who has to deal with the problem? What is causing it? When did it start? Where is it occurring? Why do you think it is happening? How much of your production is involved? How many locations are affected? How often does it happen? With a clear understanding of the customer's problem, you are better able to assess the scope of the problem, determine how to best position potential solutions, and determine what to do next in the selling process. By asking follow-up problem questions, you help the customer think through and clarify the problem. In many instances, you'll find that customers have not fully analyzed their problems. They might not have the time, information, or resources to do so. By helping customers to really understand their problems, you position yourself as a problem solver and consultative resource. Asking problem questions will also help you to develop the customer's desire for a solution and a sense of urgency to act on the problem. Sometimes the customer will reveal a problem which your product or service cannot solve. In this case, be judicious in your use of follow-up problem questions. Your focus should be on developing problems which can be addressed by your product or service. Almost all sellers have a good understanding of their products and services. However, the most successful sellers have something more, a very clear understanding of the customer's problems, difficulties, or dissatisfaction which can be addressed by each of their products and services. In other words, they have business, industry, and operational knowledge as well as product knowledge. This knowledge is critical to selling success. The better you understand the problems you can address from a customer's point of view, the better you will be able to uncover and understand specific problems and develop explicit needs. The most successful sellers do a great deal of planning before a call. They anticipate potential customer problems and formulate problem questions they might ask during the call. In other words, they put their business, operational, and product knowledge to good use before the call. While the less successful sellers may be inclined to wing it, the most successful sellers understand the value of solid, thorough preparation. Anticipating customer problems takes time and careful thought, because specific problems can vary greatly from customer to customer. Most problems tend to fall into one of the following categories: profitability, cost, productivity, competition, quality, time, ease of operation, reliability, capability, credibility, versatility, safety, morale, customer satisfaction, and reputation or image. These categories can be a useful frame of reference for organizing the problems that can be addressed by your product or service. When anticipating problems, the most successful sellers recognize that a customer's perception of problems can vary depending on the level or function of the person being contacted. For example, top executives might tend to be more interested in problems related to profitability, productivity, or competition. The actual users of your product or service might have a greater interest in problems related to ease of operation, versatility, safety, or reliability. Customers in the finance function tend to focus more on problems related to cost, profitability, etc. Unlike their less successful counterparts, the most successful sellers focus on anticipating problems that are likely to be hot buttons for the level or function they are contacting.